Whee! It's Astroneer! Oh, again! It's Astroneer again. I did a video on Astroneer a while ago. It was a much different version. This is no longer pre-alpha, it's alpha. Whatever that means. And, ooh, that's weird. So far, not too different. Let's hold the E key. Okay, this is very different. They've greatly improved the sort of modular gameplay design that this game sort of goes for, and I think they went a long way in justifying it. So if you're curious about Astroneer, I'm just going to show off the things that you're going to do, the things that you will find yourself doing moment to moment. This is already very strange. I'll get to that later. So it's a survival game. It's an early access. A lot is going to change from now until it's, I assume, not in early access anymore. Close that. And you could think of it as an extension of something like Minecraft. So we have this little terrain tool, and you press the E key to activate it, click in the mouse, and you're already set to forming the terrain. And you're going to go around and harvest stuff like this compound, and you're going to use these ingredients to build things off of this exohabitat. And there are all kinds of systems, one of which is this oxygen meter. That's going to be a constant thing that you'll have to monitor. Once you get away from any kind of oxygen source, the meter goes down. And you're going to notice there's no HUD. The only thing that's on the screen non-diegetically is the early access, whatever. Everything else exists in the game world itself in a logical sense. So let's start with the start. They give you this sort of opening care package. Hold the Q key. And these like pop-up interfaces, these are also kind of new to this version. Ta-da! So it gave us these two little modules, and there is a tutorial. I actually got more confused with the tutorial than I did just kind of poking through the game and figuring it out as I went. There didn't used to be a tutorial, but now there is. So Z and X rotate this module. It's not open, which you'll see in a minute. Let's open it. Now it becomes a table or a platform, and these are the things that you're going to use to build off of to do all kinds of stuff. It's a medium platform A, so there are different arrangements. Don't worry about that now. What we want to worry about is the arrow. The stuff you put here is going to go in that direction. So point it away from your base, anywhere you got room. So you can still pick it up. Let's put it right here. Now the other thing, which is kind of new, are these fun little cables you can kind of wiggle around. You need power, and your exohabitat has its own power source. So let's boop, plug it in, and there it goes. We've got power. It's indicated by the yellow semicircles. If they're all the way full, it's receiving the most power it can. And you'll see in a second. Let's take this. This opening care package also gives you a thing that you can put on a platform, which is very nice. So put it there, and then hold E to unpack it. And now we've got what's called a fabricator. This is a thing that will make stuff. So we can hold the Q key to see what it can make. Again, these pop-up menus are new, and I think they work really well. So you can kind of see in the silhouette, you can make another large platform. Actually large, not medium. You can make a large platform. You can make a research chamber, and that's it. And it's going to tell you what it requires, resin or compound. Now, just a second ago, we looked over here and saw something, and it's compound. So let's go ahead and suck up the compound. If you're looking for the super duper quick take, you've kind of seen the major mechanics of what you're going to be doing moment to moment. You're going to be collecting resources, obviously not just compound, and you're going to be making components at your base, and you're going to be wandering further and further away. That's kind of the whole loop so far. There is multiplayer I have not tried out, and there are really cool things you can build. The other cool thing is just seeing how things work. I think the details of this kind of game are worth stressing. So, research chamber requires 2 compound. Now, the way the inventory works is you got your backpack here. You press the Q key, just press it, don't hold it. And you can see everything is like actually there in your inventory. It's all like sitting there for real, and you can just, you know, put it somewhere. Or you can snap it to any of these empty spaces you have on your backpack. And in fact, your terrain tool has a couple extra slots too that you can just put stuff on. They're like inventory slots. So this wants 2 compound. So you can go ahead and drag it over. And now that it has what it requires, you can see the silhouette for the research chamber is there. So hold E to print, and it gets to work. Now, a couple things to note here. This is kind of taking its time. You can see it's taking one little bubble off of the compound at a time. You can sort of see the power thing I showed you before is now way down there. Your base itself has its own power, but it doesn't actually have a lot of it. So this crafting process, would go a lot faster, and you'll want it to go a lot faster later on if we had more power sources. But we really can't make a lot. So we made a research station, and whenever you make something, it comes in this little like box. So you can leave it in the box for now because it's just a module. Well, you don't have to. Yeah, actually you do have to leave it in the box. So just like the module, the fabricator module, it requires a platform. So thankfully, the other thing that we can make is a platform. This requires a different resource, resin. So we gotta go get some resin. There should be some nearby. It's also worth noting you can craft stuff from your backpack. And that's actually the next thing we should do. This is another major part of the game, another thing you'll be doing a lot. So down here on these 2 buttons, you can craft a couple things right out of the gate. Canister, a small fabricator, which is different than this thing. This is a medium fabricator. Small generator or tethers. And most of these things require basic stuff like compound. So you can go ahead and hit the craft button. And now you see the energy meter of your own backpack drained and filled back up because I am currently tethered to my exohabitat. So it's giving me some power. If I weren't tethered, if I were over here and crafted it, my power would have stayed down until I reconnected. So we made some tethers. Tethers extend the reach of your base. Pretty self-explanatory. It's a hotkey, so you don't have to go into, you don't have to go into here and drag them out. I have it set to the number 3. I'm on PC. Obviously, this is a PC game. And usually what I do if I'm going exploring, I just wait till I drop from the tether and just press the button. Press the button. I don't drag them around. It takes too long. So we're looking for resin. That over there is more compound. And this over here is resin. You'll get to know what it looks like just by looking. It tells you, but eventually as you wander further away, the game stops telling you, I think. Maybe it always tells you. Either way. Let's collect some of this resin. A full stack has to be collected, See how it pops up, says resin, before you can like use it. If you have like an incomplete stack, so let's see, I've got a little bit of resin there on the end of my gun, right there. I can't do anything. I can't pull that off. I can't do anything with it. If I go ahead and start collecting a different resource, like compound, it's gone. So I'm pretty sure that doesn't get put back at the deposit. Pretty sure I just wasted it. So you always want to harvest until, as best you can, until a full stack has been gotten. Also, you don't want to suffocate like I was just doing. If you actually run out of air all the way, you start to take damage. There's no visible health bar anywhere on your backpack or on the screen. The screen just starts to flash red, and you have some amount of time before your character will die and pass out. If you die, you respawn. Well, actually, it's a good question. I haven't died since the latest update, but if you died in the last update, you would respawn at your base with nothing in your backpack, and you would have to do a corpse run, as they say, and run back to wherever it was that you died, and then pick off the stuff from your dead body. I want to get the rest of that resin. There's usually a decent amount under the surface. There's usually like at least a couple stacks worth at any major deposit. See, it's poking through. And if you run out of inventory space, the game, it kind of intelligently populates your inventory slots, including the slots here on your gun. If you run out of space here, it'll start putting on the 2 spots there, and there's actually a top spot right here. And there's actually 2 little spots on the top of your backpack, which are meant for other things, but you can put whatever over there as well. And the game will do that for you if it's empty. So we have enough for now. Let's make that platform. You can actually go into it by holding Q, and then if you have the right amount of resources, you can press the green button. I don't know what happens if you cancel it. I kind of don't feel like pressing it. I think maybe it just gives you whatever you didn't spend. I don't know, figure it out for yourself. Buy the game. So this thing is going to somewhat slowly craft up a large platform, which you can see is bigger than this one, which is good because this will require a large platform. And just like your backpack kind of has all these like spaces on it, platforms do too. And they're kind of used by whatever module is on the platform, but my base has that. Any little thing like this. There's like a design language to this game because of how modular it is, and there is no HUD, and there often isn't any word description of most things. Like there's no arrow pointing to this is empty slot. Like it just says enter exohabitat. It doesn't tell you what this thing is. You're just supposed to kind of know by visual design what that is. So now we have a platform. Let's unpack it. Let's get our house in order here and put this. Put this kind of right next to this. Let's actually rotate it because of this. This base kind of spawned in very weird. It created this black platform, which I can't actually dig. I can't do anything to this. It's like bedrock in Minecraft. Put that there, unpack it, and I pointed the arrow away from base so it would have room to do what it's got to do. And you'll notice it requires power. You can daisy chain your platforms together like that, and now it's got power. So it's a research chamber, and this kind of refers to a whole other mechanic. That's the word I'm looking for. in the game, which is new to the latest update. Before, the research chamber, you would put special items in here and they would unlock schematics. And the schematics would usually show up in here in this listing or in the listing here for the fabricators or whatever they had at the time. It was all a little different, but not that different. And it would unlock a random schematic. Now that has been replaced for something more finalized. You can go into the menu here and you'll see bytes and I guess bytes per minute, I guess is what that is, and then power and all these other things. So when you get an item that will go in here, and we'll find one in a minute, I suppose, you'll earn a currency, a special currency called bytes. And if you hold it, anytime you hold the Q key, you open up this totally new menu. This is totally new to this update. And you'll see that you have bytes listed here, and these are the things that you can ultimately unlock. As far as I'm aware, you can't add to this listing in any way. Maybe you can, or maybe that's the plan in future updates, but I'm pretty sure you can, in other words, I'm pretty sure you can browse everything that you're able to craft by going up and down. Usually if you go left and right, it's just like a bigger version of the thing, and then there are these tabs. So these are like benches, you could say, where you produce something or you do something with other materials. This is a survival tab. Everything in here is more or less related to helping you survive. Tethers, which you have, it's listed, I guess, for completionist's sake, but you start the game with this unlocked. Oxygen tanks, you can put an oxygen tank on your character or other things, and then you don't have to worry about tethers until the O2 runs out. Batteries, that supplies power until the power runs out, same principle. Solar panels give you power if you're out in the daytime. Wind turbines give you power if there's wind. This is the navigation tab, I guess you could call it. Everything here is kind of related to your ability to explore, dig, move stuff around. You get these vehicles. And you can see they cost a lot. 6,000 bytes, that is a lot. And yeah, you've got ship parts. So you can leave this planet eventually. And that planet there, I guess that's a moon. And the one that I just saw kind of going behind it over there, you can get to these. You don't fly actively, at least you didn't last time I played this game. And I haven't gotten to a planet in this update, but you create all the necessary stuff and you just sort of chart a course for it, and then you land there. And then there are presumably different resources, or you can just go there to say you've gone there. So let's play around a little bit more. I don't think there was anything else I needed to show off here. There's this tab. The last tab is, I guess these are more like, benches also, kind of like this tab. Fabricators, really big platforms. You get these storage things that they just have like nodes on them that you can put stuff on, so they're not just lying around. There is a slight weather mechanic. It hasn't really been updated much since the last version. Every once in a while, a dust storm will blow through, and if you're not inside your exohabitat or underground, you might get pelted by some rocks and potentially die. The day-night cycle seems, other than affecting solar power, seems mostly just aesthetic. There are no like wildlife running around that you have to worry about fighting, but there are like plant animals. Plant animals? Plants. Sentient life of some kind. Underground. And we'll get to that in a second. But if we go over here, let's drop some tethers to keep going. We go over here, these things, hold E, I guess you collect that and you now have some research. So I got 56 bytes. 56 bytes. When you have enough bytes to unlock a thing, to buy it, you know, your bytes go down to 0. If you spend 3,000 bytes and you have 3,000 bytes, you're back down to 0. And unlocking it just gives you the ability to craft it. You still have to use the proper crafting station. And as far as I'm aware, the game never quite tells you where to look. It's kind of up to you to just like investigate all of your possible crafting stations. It does follow logic. Larger things tend to be made by the medium fabricator, smaller things by the small one. Really small things tend to get made just by your backpack's own fabricator. Vehicle parts are made by the vehicle bay. It makes some sense. So I think the through line that will keep you going, even though I am sort of running around, just trying to think of what I'm talking about here. The through line that's going to keep you busy is seeing if you can get everything crafted up. Whatever the game has to offer, see what you can do. So right now, what do we have access to? Platform and research chamber. So what does the research chamber do? Well, you got to find items to research, like I said before. And those mostly exist underground. Now, if we're going to keep running around, we're going to need some more compound so that we can make more tethers so that we don't die. Alright, let's head in this direction because I see some divots in the ground. Excuse me. Oh, what happened? I just made a bunch of tethers. I make the wrong thing. I made a small fabricator. It's because I was moving this around. Alright, well, we made a small fabricator. Let's go put it down. Let's show that off while we're at it. This one doesn't require any kind of a platform, so let's pick it up and turn it this way. I forget which way is the front. Nope, not that way. Other way. Turn it that way. That way. Alright, so the small fabricator, plug it in, there you go. Let's see what it can make for us. It can make a medium platform, that's the one that we were given. A medium fabricator, again, we already got that. It can make an open seat, which is used for vehicles, mostly. And that's it, for now. We don't need it to do that, but let's go ahead and make some tethers like I wanted to. Okay. Let's go. Yeah, and you can also see you have a source of light on your guy's helmet, and the tethers produce light. So they are not only handy for survival, they are very handy for navigation. So, you know, it's recommended that you be relatively neat and orderly with your tethers so that you're not confusing yourself as to where to go. But as you get further and further away from your base, the game is pretty generous. It shoots up that giant home icon that gets smaller as you get closer to it. So you'd really have to I don't know. Be unobservant, I guess, to be lost. So we got a cave entrance here. The tethers do go through terrain. They don't obey physics perfectly. On the side of the walls and on the ground, generally all around, you'll find these little, just like oxygen deposits, I guess. And if you're not connected to a tether, you can see the deposit itself is starting to wear down because I'm using up O2. My bar isn't going down. This deposit is. So these can be really nice to collect in a pinch. Like if you're way out exploring and let's say you ran out of tethers and you don't have any compound and you don't want to go back and you're running out of air, these random deposits of oxygen can be very handy. So I tend to leave them there. So we've got a ditch. Let's dig our way down because we have to get out. That would be nice. This can be tricky. I'm still not great at this. Digging like a smooth downward slope that's not hard to walk back up. We have a new deposit here. Let's get some tethers going. Just move it until it makes a connection. They'll stick to walls, which is nice. So we have laterite, and then it also says aluminum ore underneath it. We'll go ahead and pick that up. Laterite. Probably don't have a ton of backpack space. Got one more tether. Okay, we got all that. Now let's go. Oh, bugged out. Huh. Does not want to connect. That's weird. Oh, my tether's all broke. Maybe I did something. Must have lost the tether connection somewhere. All my tethers gone? Huh. Something happened to all my tethers. That's wild. Somehow, all of a sudden, this tether, without me doing anything, became too far and lost contact. Can I... There we go. That's weird. Well, let's go back to the cave. Alright. Take this. We're here. We got some research nodes down here. Might as well take them. They don't take up any space. And now we actually have our first, what you could call enemy. These pulsating whatevers. If you get close to them, I think these guys start spitting out gas or spikes or something. So the only thing you can really do, aside from run and jump, is suck stuff up with your terrain tool. So you gotta do that. Just suck up the ground beneath them, and then they kind of blow up. That's the extent of combat in this game. I'm going to wander out past the tethers for a minute because what we came here for is a research item. And usually they're in the ground, buried underneath stuff, in caves. I don't get too far, but also there's another ore over there, that green stuff. Yeah, these guys spit gas. It can be kind of tough to tell how close this stuff is to you, but you kind of just don't want to get anywhere near it, and it'll fade away on its own. If you sit in it, it'll start to take damage. Usually around here somewhere. Well, alright, we're running out of air, so if you run back, if you run, I should say, you take up more air, but also you need to run. It's gonna be a little scary when you run out of air. But I have plenty of compounds, so I may as well use it. Let's craft up some tethers. See if we can't find a research item. I don't want to pick up this green stuff just yet because I don't have the room. Oh, here it is. Usually it's buried under these enemies. So it says research, unknown. Put away your terrain tool. Well, you gotta dig it out first. And put away your terrain tool, and you can just click it and carry it. Now you gotta kind of schlep the thing back. I think I just saw another one right here. Right there. So let's put that one there and take this one with us. Now we just have to walk back to base. Oh god. Oh god, I told you I was bad at this. Alright. Let's put this down. Kind of like, huh? Bloop. See if that did it. Alright. Alright, so we're back at base. Well, let's pop this thing into the research chamber. There it goes. And we can open up the actual menu. I never quite, or maybe I'm just not paying enough attention. I never quite figured out what these bars here, the white bar, like some are higher, some are lower. But once you put something in there, I believe it'll tell you you're going to earn 450 bytes over 8 minutes. So yeah, flick the switch. And that's kind of a while. And then you can see that I've earned 3 bytes. 1, 2, 3. You don't have to be next to this, thank God. You can run around wherever. And that timer obviously would go down if I had more power sources connected to anything in the chain, be it on here or on my base, any node that is in this chain. And as far as I know, there is no rule for how many connections. You can daisy chain things infinitely, in other words. And your base has a generous amount of these umbilical plugs. This thing, I have not figured out if I can get rid of it, because you kind of don't need it, unless I'm mistaken, except for that one time at the beginning of the game. It says it's a landing pad, but I don't know. Maybe you do need this for putting a ship. But like I said, with this update, I didn't build a ship yet. So we got that thing cooking away. It's giving us some research points. And then I guess what you would do is sort of determine what piques your fancy the most. We can make a beacon. We have enough for that. All this, anything that's in pink is too expensive. Anything that's in teal is unlocked. Anything in gray you can afford. So, just kind of flip through whatever we got going. Looks like the beacon, let's make a beacon. Or, well, let's not make a beacon, let's unlock a beacon. So, since that's a tiny item, I happen to know, it's a thing that your backpack can make, and you can make it with compounds. So let's go ahead and do it. And then the next thing actually I want to make is Oh, maybe I have to unlock it. Let's see. Generator, solar, wind turbine, no. These categories are not the best. Because what I'm trying to find is a canister. And I don't know what category that belongs to. Tether, maybe it's this one. Wait, it's a generator. That's not what I want. Canister. Oh, it's unlocked. Ugh. I didn't see it here. Nope, that's not what I want. Okay, there it is. Good. And it requires resin. So that's the next thing. I would do that very first. So, canister, that belongs on your terrain tool. That's what these spots on your terrain tool are for, sort of. So, if you go around, let's go somewhere not right next to our base. And you suck up some dirt. Let's turn the camera this way. You can see the little bar on the canister is starting to fill, and the canister itself is starting to fill. That comes in handy later. Certain workbenches use, I guess, dirt, soil, whatever, as a crafting material. So you'll want canisters that have dirt in them. But also, it adds a feature. I don't remember what the original hot buttons are for this, but right now we've just been digging down with our terrain tool. You can also build up or flatten out. So if you level it off, well, I'm suffocating. Here we go. We can do that right over here. If you level, keep your icon, your cursor level, then press the whatever hot button binding you have, you'll gradually shoot out stuff to be level with whatever you were originally mousing over, kind of. I've always found this sort of awkward, and the building up especially is kind of awkward. Oops. I ran out of dirt. No. Well, anyway, that is a sandstorm. You can hear it coming. You're given a fair amount of time. Your character, I guess, slows down. So you hold E to sit in your exo habitat. And you just wait it out. And you either wait it out here, or if you're underground in a cave, see there's all those tumbling boulders. If you're underground in a cave, you're also safe. If I were to leave items like loose, like if I took a resin off my backpack and left it sitting here, I'm not sure, but I think there's a decent chance it might get knocked away. Probably wouldn't go very far, but it wouldn't be where I left it. But otherwise, this game remembers everything. If you put something down on the ground and walk away and it's not connected to a node, it'll still be there. It's not gonna, like, disappear like you're playing Skyrim or, you know, something. It's gonna be there. So I appreciate that there are weather effects. I think they could do a lot more with this. Because as it stands, if you're out here and you're tending to your base, or if you're way out there on the surface and you see a sandstorm, you just gotta stop doing what you're doing. And if you're in your base especially, I can't do anything in here. All I can do is sit in here. It saves the game when you go in here. But it also saves when you quit, so you don't have to go in there to save. Basically, the only reason you ever come in here is if you think you're going to die because you're going to do something risky, I guess. Or if there's a sandstorm, a boulder storm. And I can't even open that like upgrade menu, this menu, this menu, to like shop around and look at whatever I've got while I'm sitting in my habitat. And I can't really interact with any of this the way I can remotely while standing. I'm just sitting in here. So I think they could do more with that. This is an alpha, but yeah, that's the thing they could do more with. Um, but I think I'm gonna leave it there. It's been 40 minutes. Probably be less when I post this. There's like a rover I showed that you can build. There's all other kinds of things. There's like smelters for my research is done. For when you collect this, ores that will refine the laterite into aluminum. There's copper ore. There's all kinds of ores. There aren't a ton, but there are several. And they all have applications. They all have uses. And some are harder to get than others. And, if you want to dig down all the way, you can go ahead and do that. I think everyone thinks about that whenever they find a game where the game lets you dig. Or, what happens? Well, I think I said this in the last time I played this, but if you want to find that out, go ahead and buy the game and find out for yourself. I'm not doing that on camera. Takes a while, that's why. And that'll do it. I think that displays the loot pretty well. That's what you do in this game. You can run around with someone else as they do this. Although, like I said, I didn't test out the multiplayer, so I don't know how good that works. But you can do it, and you can go to other planets. But I think you can only go to whatever's in your solar system. It's not like it's not No Man's Sky where you're running around the galaxy. Or you can go to this planet and that moon and the moon that was over here and the planet that was like. There's like 5 planets, including the one you're on. And I don't know if they've added anything to those planets, but maybe they did. Anyway, that's it. That's Astroneer. There's a lot going on here. It's really fun and satisfying to see all your workbenches cooking away, and this UI is at once kind of difficult to use, but also kind of fun. Oh, and the beacon. I made a beacon, right? Yeah, that's what it is. Put it there. It's a beacon. You get farther away from it, it gets bigger, just like the one for your house. Use it to mark stuff, change the color, have fun. See you next time. Bye.